outreach service, so that's to men, women and children who are experiencing domestic abuse or have experienced domestic abuse. And what we do is we provide safety work with people, so looking at how they can keep themselves safe. They can be in a relationship or out of a relationship. So if they're in a relationship, that safety work may be looking at identifying triggers of that person's partner. When does the abuse kind of happen? Is it after they've been for a drink, or is it when maybe the end of the month comes in and all the bills need to be paid and there isn't the money to pay it? So they're the best person to know how best to deal with it. We're just there to give them additional information and additional ideas. It's not just Monday 9 to 5, it is a Saturday or a Sunday morning. You can give us a ring at any time. You can self-refer or agencies can refer us, so it doesn't matter. Or if you've got a mate, you can say let's give them a ring and we can be there at the end of the telephone. And what happens is we come out, we do an assessment, and then you get an allocated worker, and that person will stay with you until you say I don't actually need you anymore. So what we do is we do it in a very planned way. So we look at how that person can do it in a safe manner, and we try and keep people within their homes so they can keep their children at school, they can keep their family close by, they might be able to stay in their job, they can stay with their friends, all that kind of thing. So what we do is we look at different orders, so that you can get a court order called a non-molestation order, and basically that helps people to keep safe, so that keeps that person away from you, so they can't threaten or use somebody else to threaten or cause a distress and alarm to somebody. And attached to that you can then get an occupation order, and an occupation order means that basically we force the perpetrator out of that house. So even if that person has got a joint mortgage or joint names on a tenancy, on a rent, then we can get that perpetrator to move out. Obviously, if we do get a person to move out, then the victim may have never had to budget, may never have had to earn their own income, may never been allowed to earn their own income. So we have to help them with applying for benefits, maybe speaking to their employer that they may not be able to work full time anymore because they've got now full responsibility of the children. Can they change their hours? So we do a lot of work around that as well. We also link in with solicitors a lot around child contact. There's something called legal aid. Legal aid is basically where you can go to court and you don't then have to pay for it. The state will pay for it. But it's very, very difficult to get, and a lot of people don't get it. So what we've done is we've come up with an agreement with the courts in the area that we can help people to do that. So we help people write their statements, we help people represent themselves, and we can go into that court. There are refuges, and we do have 3 refuges in the county. So we have a refuge in our North Dorset area, and that is 10 self-contained flats. One of them is a 2-bedroom, the rest are all 1-bedrooms. And we have staff up there helping people from all over the country flee, settle, and then hopefully be able to move into the community once they know where they want to live. We have one in the west of the county, and that's a very big refuge. That's 16 beds. Now that is shared facilities. And then we have a new project which is kind of mid-Dorset, and that is a 6-bed property for people who can't access women's refuges. So that is men, that is couples. So when we talk about couples, we talk about maybe LGBT couple where their families don't agree with them being in the same-sex relationship. And it's also for mums who have got teenage boys, because we don't allow boys that are 14 and over to be in our refuge. Now that's because we have to look at if there's teenage girls in our property, could a relationship start up? If boys tend to have witnessed domestic abuse, there can sometimes be abusive behaviours that come out. Being quite possessive, doing a bit of stalking, checking somebody's phone, wanting to track their movements on their iPhone. Children in Need granted us some money to have a children and young persons worker. She kind of tends to work with 10 and upwards, and basically what she does is she helps anybody who has lived with parents who have experienced domestic abuse, so they've witnessed it, they've seen it, or they may actually be in an abusive relationship themselves. What we do is we go and work with somebody who may be identifying that they might be in an abusive relationship. But what she also does is she works with the person who may be instigating that abuse. We will work with that person to look at why you're behaving that way. Let's look at how you can maybe change that behaviour, so you then don't become a full-fledged perpetrator of domestic abuse in the future. She runs courses as well in the community. She goes out to a lot of schools and colleges to talk about healthy relationships, and also to talk about if you're experiencing abuse at home, you can come to us for some support. We do have a family worker as well from Children in Need, and she works with families as a whole. So she looks at sometimes if there's been domestic abuse in the family and we remove, let's say we remove dad, mum has never been allowed to parent, mum may not actually know how to parent, or may just have lost that confidence, and the kids then may start to show the behaviours that dad has shown. So what we then try and do is bring that family together as a bit of a unit. We mainly do that in refuge, because leaving a family home and leaving your friends and your community and going into refuge is really quite a massive trauma for children and mums. Our budget yearly is about £385,000, but we have to staff all of our refuges from that. We have to staff obviously our hub for taking referrals. That has to cover all of our travel, and obviously Dorset is a big old county, and that has to staff if we do any events, anything like that. So even though it sounds quite a lot of money, when we have to specially train all of our workers as well, it's not a very big pot of money. We don't get any additional money. So if we want to do something nice for our, let's say, refuge clients, so let's say it's the summer holidays, 6 weeks is a long time, to take maybe families to Monkey World, we have no budget for that. So to do those additional things to make their lives a little bit more bearable, we have to then raise money for it.
My main role is going to be working with clients who have experienced sexual violence, whether it's in a domestic setting, so in a relationship, whether it's in any other setting, so just by a stranger out on the street, and I'll also be working with sex workers, so we're looking to try and target off-street sex workers. So my role is very much the same as a domestic abuse support worker, but it's kind of specialised in sexual violence. So I do a lot of safety planning with people I work with, do a lot of work around self-esteem, if they want to report to the police, which they don't have to, but if they do, I can support them with that. I can support them in court, so whether that's a pre-court visit, arranging for them to have special measures, so whether they have to give evidence by video link, or just having that support in court. Okay, and I can also support them to access other services, so whether it's counselling or support groups, I can help them with that.
So the handbag project, I'm asking people to maybe donate a handbag, quite a good size handbag. In that handbag I want to put predominantly ladies' things that they would need, because we are focusing on the working girls out there. We want to fill them with things like deodorant, wet wipes, lip gloss, maybe knickers, putting Durex in there, just all things that a lady would use, but we have to get them all as donations, which isn't easy. And attached to them, we're going to put an alarm. It's very difficult to get them to engage with services. A lot of working girls do it for their own reasons. So I'm hoping to run a drop-in via the Gum Clinic in Weymouth, where we can get them to come in, have a chat to us. We're hoping to do a course so that we can give out Durex and chlamydia testing. We can support them, to stop doing it if they're homeless, if they've got no money, if they've never had benefits, if they want to get back into education. We can support all of that.
There is another organisation called Rape Crisis, and now they're the main organisation in Dorset. So if somebody has been raped and they go to the police, then they are automatically then passed on to Rape Crisis, because there's also something called the SARC. So the SARC is the Sexual Assault Referral Centre. So there's only one in Dorset, and that's in Bournemouth. But if you've been sexually assaulted or you've been raped, you go, men or women can go there and they can have all the testing done. So your clothes are bagged up for forensics. You're then given a sexual health test and made sure that you're okay. You don't have to report it to police to go there. You could give us a ring and we could say, okay, do you want us to take you? Or you can even ring there yourself. And what they do is they then hold that information or that DNA, they do swabs and things. So they'll hold it for 2 years. And then a year's time you say, actually, no, I'm ready to tell the police now. So you could then go and report it to the police, and then you could then go to the SARC and say, I need to have all those tests done, and then they've got that forensic evidence. So it's quite a good way. So you know, even if you're not ready to disclose to the police, you can still go and get yourself checked out. Our other service that we provide is a stalking service. So we have one worker, again, for the whole of Dorset. And when we talk about the whole of Dorset, we are also including Poole and Bournemouth for this one person. And that is for anybody, a bit like the ISVAs, who has experienced stalking or harassment. So it doesn't have to be through a relationship. What we're looking at is a repeated pattern of behaviour, which causes alarm or distress and actually disrupts how you live and things like that. What we're trying to do is work with the police, and we've started a meeting that we meet quarterly, and we work with forensic psychologists, we work with the police, Crown Prosecution Service, probation and health. And what we do is we look at those high-risk victims of stalking, and we look at the behaviours of the perpetrator, how we can support the victim to proceed through court, and how we can help the perpetrator from stop either doing it for their own welfare but also for future victims of stalking. So we sit there for half a day, sometimes a whole day, talking about what mental health support we need to put in for that perpetrator. Is that perpetrator already within the probation service? Are they breaching their orders? Do we need to look at their court orders to see if we need to change it? Are they breaching it so they need to go back to court or to prison, but the victim is too scared that she hasn't actually reported, or he hasn't reported it, so we need to get them recalled to prison. So we have a big meeting around that as well, so that we meet quarterly, usually here, and talk about those high-risk perpetrators and victims of stalking. There's something called 16 Days of Activism. It's about stopping any violence against women and girls, and part of that 16 days there's National Domestic Abuse Week. So what we're doing in Dorset is we've approached colleges and high schools to go in and do a chat in assemblies or however you guys work, to talk to big groups of people, to talk about healthy relationships, how to keep yourself safe from sexual violence and things like that. We do have one other project. Now that's called the ISEP project, so that's the Isolated Communities project, and we're going out and we're delivering free domestic abuse workshops to anybody who wants to understand a bit more about domestic abuse, who wants to understand the impact of domestic abuse and how to support the community. So people who have had that are wearing the dragonfly, because dragonfly are non-gender specific and it represents courage and hope. You then know that that person will understand what you're going through, and you could then say, can I have a chat with you? And they then can say, let's give the First a ring, or let's give Women's Aid a ring, or let's give Refuge a ring. So they're not a support worker, they're literally there just to give you information about where you could go for support.